I am Marwan Cameron, and this is The Conduit. All right, everyone. It is February 1, 2022, and January is done. It's over. It's in the books. We only have 11 months left. Are you behind on your New Year's resolutions? This is crazy. I'm just telling you, it's going so fast. Stop and smell the roses. But you know what day it is? It is the first Tuesday of the month. And on the first Tuesday of the month, we have the Kitsap Regional Library. So again with us today, go ahead and give you Priya, how are you doing today?
I am doing okay today. Yeah. How are you doing?
Answer, which is absolutely true. I am blessed and highly favored.
That sounds good.
It's a good day. We had a board meeting today with our new board members, and that was exciting. And we're gonna do we've got some nice plans this year. How about I tell you first? We're getting ready to purchase a new van, so we are adding a wheelchair to our fleet. But
Awesome.
it is the first Tuesday of the month, and as the first Tuesday is here, we want to know what's going on in the world of the Kitsap Regional Library. So, you want to give us some awesome updates?
I can do that. Yes, and I will start by saying, apologies if my internet is a bit spotty. I'm in the library's basement, and it is always a bit. So, Marwan, if you can't hear me, please just wave or stop me mid-sentence, and I'll jump back.
You got it.
Yeah, I always like to start out with that. It's technology. So it is February. Happy February, everyone. Here at KRL, we are still open to the public as we have been for the past several months. So you can come in, do the usual library business, check out items, return items, use the computers, use our Wi-Fi, hang out for a little bit, study, say hi to your local library staff, all good. Every month we put out a pamphlet, which you can pick up at your local library called Inspire or Inspire Light. So our Inspire for February just came out last week. So this has all of our programs, services, updates, news you need to know for the month of February and beyond in terms of services. But this one you can get in your local branch. You can find on our website at krl.org/inspire, and it can show that. And you can see yes, February 2022, we have a little blurb about our new director, awesome, who's starting today. Welcome, Jason. And then a little bit about a highlight of a program or service that we're offering this month. And so our highlight is celebrating Black histories and futures. We have a few programs that are Black history focused because it is Black History Month. So I can take you through a couple notable things just for this month. Open it up, we see our new director, Mr. Jason Driver. We're all very excited to meet him as he works his way through the branches since we have 9 across the county. So we have a little blurb from Mr. Driver himself, and then a list of all of our classes and events broken up by adult, teen, and kids. And so a couple of the programs for adults that you might want to know about is the start of our AARP tax aid partnership. So if you would like some assistance with filing your taxes and you are familiar with AARP or you are a user of their services, you can stop by our Poulsbo, Port Orchard, and Bainbridge branches, just those 3. They will have volunteer tax aides available to help you sort out your documents, file your taxes, get all that good stuff done early. No one likes to rush late into tax season. So you can see here, On our pamphlet, it has a couple dates, but I would highly recommend checking it on our website for those specific branches. So you can get what days and times they're available, all the information of the documents you'll need to know. We do prefer and really ask that you call ahead to make an appointment so that they know to expect you. Please, otherwise there's a chance it might be first come, first serve. You might not be able to get seen. So please do give us a call. And again, it's at those three branches: Paulsbo, Port Orchard, and Bainbridge. And let me see if I
Bria,
can.
is the AARP tax help, is that free?
Totally free. Yes.
Nice.
Everything the library provides is free. And this is a really great partnership that we have with AARP. I believe annually. I don't remember if we did it last year or early pandemic, but they've been really great at coming to several, if not most of our branches in previous years, just to help, close that gap of people who might need some help filing their taxes, especially if you're not a digital person and you have all your documents in paper and prefer to file in paper. That stuff gets complicated. So
do they do drop-ins, appointments, or is it like an hour, per person, or if they need more time?
Appointments. If you go to the AARP website and look up the tax aid locations, it does list KRL locations as a drop-off, as in drop off your documents. Don't do that. The AARP website needs to be updated a little bit. Please do not drop off your documents with us. If in doubt, call your local branch or stop in and just ask, hey, I heard about this program. What do I need to know? And we'll happily get you either signed up for an appointment or tell you the number to call. It's a really great service for those of us who need it. So that is the tax aid program. What else do we have? Last time we talked a little bit about our book groups. We've got book groups at most, if not all, of our locations throughout the month, primarily virtual. And I'll share in our little Inspire pamphlet here. It starts right here, book conversations, and works its way onto the next page. And so you can find book groups by location. For instance, if you live in Silverdale and want to go to the Silverdale book group, there's one particular to that location. Or if you're really into a particular type of book, you can go by genre. So we have a new book group called a thriller book group that is primarily virtual. And so that way people who really love reading thrillers across the county can come together and talk about them. I personally do not like thrillers, but I respect that many people do.
So do you know what's one of the hot thrillers that are out right now that people are reading?
Which one? Oh gosh. This past month, I believe the thriller book group is brand new. So they started off with 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson, I believe is the author, which is about what it sounds like. I believe it's a bookseller who has been keeping a blog on the perfect murders in literature that he's come across, except then they start actually happening.
Wow.
And he might be a suspect. So there's a lot of intrigue. I hear it's really, really well written. I have not read it yet. But, some people really love them. We also have book groups for classics, if you're into classics, nonfiction, if you prefer to just read nonfiction. So all of that is in Inspire and also on our website. If you just go to our website and look up book group or look at our calendar, you can see they're all separated by date. Downtown Bremerton, where I am, our book group is on the 4th Monday of each month. And this month we'll be reading The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. So those are our book groups. The last thing I wanted to highlight and Inspire, and these are, again, updated for every month, is the series of story times that we have for kiddos. We know that it's a bit tough to keep kids occupied, especially if they're spending more time at home. So we have been offering story times for different ages, like baby specific, pre-K, kindergarten, that type of age. In person and in virtual. So I see, for instance, the baby story time, which is specific for babies, is being held at Bainbridge, Paulsbo, and Sylvan Way on different weekdays. There's Baby Band, which is a musical themed program for babies. That's every Tuesday, and it's virtual, so anyone across the county can attend. We also have some that are in person. If you're in the Bremerton area, our story time at Evergreen Park is every Wednesday at 10:30 in the morning for about half an hour. And that's under one of the large shelters in the park. So you'll see our children's librarian, Kirsten, there with all of her goodies that she usually brings for story time. it's a good way to get your kiddo outside and moving and safely socializing with other kids as well. So all of those are available in Inspire. And also if you go on our website and just search story time or look on our calendar.
Priya, I have to ask you, the library does so many things. Who's hosting all of these events? Like, are you doing some of these events? Like, you guys do so much.
We do a lot, and we have a lot of really dedicated and exceedingly competent staff. So for instance, at the downtown branch, myself and my colleague Kirsten are our librarians, and we also have library associates, assistants, supervisors, and managers who help run the branch as standalone library. And since we have 9 locations, we have some combination of those same staff roles at each location. So story times at Bainbridge, for instance, are run by the Bainbridge Youth Librarian. Book groups at each different location are run by their librarians or library associates. So we have a lot of really, really smart people running these programs. And they're spaced out across the month to different days, times, so that hopefully if you want to attend some type of program, you can find one that fits your schedule.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. There were 2 more things I wanted to share really quickly. They're not in Inspire, but it's just things that we offer.
Okay.
So if you've come into your branch lately, you might have seen these black or red backpacks that are set up near the children's areas. Those are called early learning kits. And they are circulating, so you can check them out on your library card, same as a regular item, except they contain several books and or toys for little ones so that you can provide them with a structured play learning experience. So it's sort of themed around like sports or music or counting or science. So there's a combination of picture books, things that they can play with, manipulate, little toys. So you can check it out with your card, same as you would check out a book or DVD. Return it back, hopefully with all the items still in store. But for parents, it's really cool because you can sort of take this whole little lesson, basically, this like fun play lesson home to your kiddos, keep it for a little while, bring it right back. So the early learning kits are a really cool thing. There's usually a couple at each branch, and you can always search for them on our catalog on our website for early learning kits, and you can see the whole range of them that we have. Those are for kiddos. For adults or slightly older folks, we offer Discover passes that you can check out to go to Washington State parks.
Really?
Yes. And so usually they look like, the ones that you hang off your rear view mirror when you park. Usually when you check them out from each branch, it's just the little pass inside a little clear holder with some information inside. But we are expanding that to include a backpack with binoculars and outdoor like printed guides and maps and a little bit more information. So you'll be able to take that whole experience in a backpack too.
And that's free also.
All of it's free.
So I'm going to get a free pass.
To use the library.
I'm going to get a free pass to go to a park with binoculars and resources and check it all out. It's not going to cost me any money, and I can have the experience and come back and then drop it off.
Yes. Now that is to say, you do have to bring it back at some point. But in the spirit of sharing, we want to make sure everyone gets their turn.
I got to give you the horn on that one. That sounds pretty cool. That sounds pretty awesome there.
Yeah. It's a really cool service. I'm glad we're expanding it. Again, you can search for that on our catalog if you want to request it ahead of time, just by searching Discover Pass on our website, or you can call your branch and ask for us to put it on hold for you too. Easy enough. So that's what's going on for February. Yeah.
Well, you have some fans, in the chat, and they're saying they have assistance for nonprofits for fundraising and grants, including access to search engines through the Paulsbo branch.
Yes. Yeah. Our librarian at the Paulsbo branch, our adult services librarian, Karina, is just absolute stellar resource for all things business and nonprofits, fundraising, things like that. And no matter where you are in the county, you don't have to live in Paulsbo. You can always get in touch either by calling or stopping in or shooting an email just to our general library contact email, and we'll try to support you no matter where you are. Yeah.
And that's awesome. One of the things I was listening to, and I'm like, as a busy parent or someone who's not very creative, to come in and check out the red and black backpack and say, hey, everything's all self-contained and you got some fun and learning that you can sneak in there at the same time. That's pretty awesome.
It really is. Yeah. Our youth services librarians are just such a fun group to be around, but they're also really great resources. If you want to get those kits, come back and say, hey, I loved this. Help me find more like this. They're really great resources for that type of, responsive feedback.
And then tell me again the ages of the backpacks for the red and black ones.
Oh, okay. So if I'm remembering correctly, there are red and black ones. They're called early learning kits. And they include, I think, about 10 like picture books. So really any youngin that you would feel comfortable reading a picture book to. And that could be anyone from baby age through like elementary, maybe mid-elementary. And then we also have, I forgot to mention, similar kits that they're clear with a blue binding. Check them out the exact same way, but I believe they're for even younger folks. And there's a content list inside. It'll tell you exactly what was in the kit when you got it and what should be in when you bring it back, as well as like learning objectives. So if you've never really done a formal like teaching focused lesson with your kiddos, this sort of like tells you like, why is it that this toy is included with this book? What is the connection? What are the core lessons that your kid's learning? It's really cool. Ooh, Marwan, I didn't catch that. I don't know that I can hear you. It might be on my end. Ooh. Marwan, I don't think I'm catching you. Let me see. Marwan, I think you might be muted. If you want to take a second to recalibrate, I'm happy to prattle on. I can talk for ages. Or if you want to put it in the chat, that's an option too. Okay. I'm getting the confirmation from Marwan to keep going. Marwan, please interrupt me when you're able to. And I see a comment from Mark asking, is Carol thinking about putting together resources for disaster preparedness? That's a fantastic question. I don't know that we've considered it as like a new service or anything like that. We do work pretty closely with community organizations across the county that do focus on that type of thing. For instance, I know up in Bainbridge, there's a really active group that's disaster readiness, disaster preparedness, that the library staff up in Bainbridge have a pretty close partnership with. So that's definitely something to think about. If you have any formal recommendations or want to just chat about this, feel free to reach out to your local branch or to myself or to Marwan. He can pass it on to me. It's definitely worth thinking about, and whether we're in times of disaster or not. Yes, I am familiar with the Kitsap Resiliency project. All right, yeah, I'll reach out to you. Thanks, Mark. I can go on to a few Black history resources because that was the second thing we wanted to talk about. So I'll say these are resources that we came across and shared during our Black History Month discussion in last year's Anti-Racism Learning Circle, which is the discussion group that I facilitate at KRL. We meet once a month just to talk about all things anti-racism, equity, building an inclusive and progressive community that we can live in together. But last year we had a really wonderful discussion on Black history and Black historical figures who really inspire us. And so I wanted to share a few resources that came up in that discussion. They are brief, they are easily digestible. I think for a lot of us, we've got short attention spans in this like digital world that we're living in. And the more input that we can get that's educational and inspiring and motivates us to learn more, the better. And I would say, especially now in this time, in this month, for non-Black folks to sort of incorporate more learning, more reflection into our lives. I know personally that's something that I'm really trying to aspire to. So I have a few resources that we found really useful, and then a local offering as well. Let's see if I can be the tech support for myself here. All right. Hopefully we are seeing Black history in 2 minutes or so. I really hope that's what we're seeing. Okay. Fairly certain? Okay. So I'm going to keep talking about this. I'm sorry if it's messed up. It shows me that I'm sharing a window. Okay. Let's see. So one resource that we have is called Black History in 2 Minutes or So. And I share this really lovingly because I, joke that we have short attention spans, but really it's because there's so much out there to digest. We have, how many books are on our shelves at the library, and how many like informational, entertaining videos and movies and TV and podcasts are there out there? A lot. So we kind of have to be discerning about what we give our time to, because our time is valuable. So this resource I really loved because they are jam-packed with history in a really engaging and factual, fact-based way. So these are a series of short videos you can find on YouTube. This is just the website that's specific for them, created by the executive producer, Robert F. Smith, and then narrated and researched by Henry Louis Gates Jr., who's a historian. I'm just going to scroll and you can see a few of the topics here. A little bit about Booker T. Washington, the birth of hip hop, the history of Black farmers. We've got a little bit about Chicago sound and modern gospel. Some of the life story of Ida B. Wells. I don't know that I've watched this one on Job Ben Solomon because that is brand new. It looks like it was from a couple weeks ago. So this is one I'm going to watch a little later today to find out that life story. So there's a couple there. If you go up to the top of all episodes, you'll see a full list of all the episodes they have, and they are all about 2 minutes or so. So really easy to watch if you are, in between meetings or on your lunch break, little ways to get some more information in there. And then you can say, oh, wow, this is fascinating. Let me learn more, and then go do your research. And the library is always happy to help. I'm going to share it real quick. Marwan, A-okay? Okay, I'll keep going. Let's see. Give me 1 second. All right, next up. Historically Black. This was a podcast resource that was shared with me that I thought was really, really engaging. Because I love podcasts, but there's so many out there, and I have a really hard time picking and choosing which ones to listen to. So this one was a partnership from APM, which is American Public Media, and the Washington Post, and the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. So there's some good stuff there. But basically, these stories come out of stories around objects and lived experiences relating to Black history that were submitted by regular people to this project. So you can see they created a people's museum of personal objects, family photos, and more. And so they used that to sort of create this podcast and timeline of some major dates in Black history, and specifically American Black history, and then tied in several of their podcast episodes to this timeline. So it's really interesting to think if you are learning about Black history from an academic standpoint, or maybe some, learning about it with your kids who might be in school. You kind of only hit those major milestone events, but a lot happens in between because, we're a really diverse and active nation. So there's some really interesting podcast episodes within this project. For instance, tracking down a slave's bill of sale that is tied to the period between 1861 and 1863 on this timeline here. You scroll down a little further, there's one podcast episode on founding an HBCU, a historically Black college or university. We have some more personal stories like Bill Driver, the fiddler who charmed Missouri. And, just some more general interest, but still really relevant to the development of the American timeline. For instance, NASA's human computers. If you've watched Hidden Figures, you might be familiar with this. Watched or read Hidden Figures, excuse me. Might be familiar with this story here. So this is another resource. Ooh, I heard something. Marwan, are you there?
I'm here. So let me ask you a question before you go over the last resource. How do you find these really good, rich resources that are reputable?
Let me get back here and stop sharing for a sec. A combination of digging around online and asking for help. Because so these two specifically were shared during the anti-racism learning circle, because that's sort of an opportunity to share resources and learn from others and sort of be inspired by what inspired other people. But the library, we see a lot of media, we see a lot of mentions of threads that we want to follow, like, hey, that's a really interesting story, let me dig a little deeper. So from the library perspective, we're always able to find resources related to other resources. But in the web realm, when you're talking about like YouTube videos and podcasts, some focused and dedicated and disciplined web searching. So not just blind Googling. It works sometimes, but not usually to find really useful, pertinent information. So for instance, in the last one, Historically Black, that podcast was part of a project from the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And they're a fantastic resource for all things Black history, for learning about Black communities and culture as a non-Black person, especially. So they're a really great resource. I believe I started with them and sort of backtracked and followed a bunch of links on their website and did a little bit of sleuthing that way. But another way is just ask people like, hey, what have you been reading or listening to or watching? Where did you learn about that? Having conversations and learning from others as well.
I love that. And I will definitely be using, these resources throughout the month. Last year is when I actually started the podcast. It was during, February and Black History Month. So I had guests come on and I would do top 10 questions and what does Black history mean to you? And, I'm going to ask you that before the day's over, but it was just a great way, one, to get in touch with the community and talk with all types of folks and get their perspective on it. But then also, kind of bring other inventors and people that were impactful in American history that we don't normally hear about. We hear about Sojourner Truth and, George Washington Carver and Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and yada, yada, yada. But there's so many, I would say, more obscure folks that had such an impact on American history. And it's just, it's so, it's interesting,
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agreed. And I feel like every time I am in a setting where we can talk about this stuff, I learn something new or get a new resource to go dig into. The last thing I wanted to share, I'll share screen one more time, is a local resource that we can dig into that's actually available at 2 different points during this month if you are interested. So at the Kitsap Historical Society Museum, which is just downtown, about a couple blocks from the library and from G2, there is an exhibit on display currently, and I will scroll down to find an image. Here we go. Okay. So for First Friday this month, which is this coming Friday, there will be an opportunity to see a talk by Roosevelt Smith, who's our near and dear and much beloved local historian, about his exhibit he curated at the Historical Society called The State of the Union in Black and White, the Roosevelt Smith Collection of Black Americana. And so Roosevelt has done a really, really thorough job of putting, Black Americana as a whole. I think that's a pretty general term, but basically like artifacts and things from American past specific to Black people, Black communities, and in some kind of hard to sit with moments, things that derive out of really hard stereotypes or straight up racism, and sort of putting those all into context where you can see it as a timeline, as a sort of holistic experience, and how the way that America has thought of Black people and Black communities over time, how that's changed, and how much work we still have left to do. So Roosevelt does a really wonderful talk about this. He's always open to questions, and the exhibit is on display at the museum. However, this Friday, Roosevelt will be discussing the exhibit, sort of giving a little overview of it. And so the museum will be live streaming it on their Facebook, which is, super easy way to dial in. So that's this Friday at 6 p.m. If you aren't able to this Friday at 6 p.m., there's an additional opportunity to hear Roosevelt talk about his exhibit and maybe ask some questions as well. Enlighten Kitsap Community Forum is a community group that puts on monthly public interest, informational, educational lectures. I help out with that group as well through the library. But on the 18th of this month, he's going to be giving a talk as well about the exhibit and hopefully taking some questions. So this is a really cool way to either see it in person if you want to stop by the museum, or sort of hear about from someone whose, project at this point of his life is to take these this ephemera, these items, these toys and flyers and magazines, things that you collect, and sort of use them to create a narrative about what it has been like to be Black in the U.S. And that's just a really valuable perspective, especially, again, for those of us who do not have the experience of being Black in the U.S., to sort of learn a historical perspective and then also incorporate that into our everyday lives. So those are two opportunities to see Roosevelt's exhibit virtually, and you can always stop by the museum during their open hours to see it in person, which I think is a really, really cool opportunity if you're able to catch at least one of those. And then,
had a chance to see it in person?
Say that one more time.
Have you had a chance to see it in person?
Yes, I have. I'm a huge museum fan, so I just kind of wander and just like mull over every individual item, and there's a lot there. So I will say, give yourself some time if you want to spend some time with that exhibit. It is really, really valuable.
And what I'll say is, it is really powerful to have him narrate and tell stories about specific pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating, and it definitely takes me back. There are things that are there that are, like, oh, that was on my dad's, coffee table. That was on my grandfather's, end table, or my grandmother's table. And, oh, I remember that. And man, how could they have ever made that? Who was selling that? Who was buying that? There's incredible pieces in there. He puts music to it while he's narrating some. It's transformative. He's been on the Conduit a few times, and so I actually went on location, so you can check that out on the Conduit too. So it is on there. That's again when we first got started. So I definitely should go back and do it with upgraded equipment. But it's a fantastic exhibit. You definitely want to go. It was something to again have him narrate, but then also just kind of sit with it quietly and look, think about the pieces, and it just takes you back. And he has stuff from contemporary, all the way back. I believe there's like a muzzle to keep slaves from talking, and oh man, it's an incredible exhibit there. So shout out to Mr. Roosevelt Smith for that. And the storytelling is captivating.
Yeah, and that's important too, because again, like, I think the most like formal education that many of us have had about Black History Month and Black history as a whole is like in school you do your unit during February, and that might be the extent of it. But it's really important to sort of continue incorporating this into your modern everyday life to say, this isn't something that's in the past. It's something that we carry with us into our present and future. So I'm really glad to have these local opportunities to get involved. The last one that I want to share real quick.
Hold on, Priya.
Yes.
We got questions in the chat. So at Mark Boatwright Frost, this is recorded, correct? I'd like to include the link in the email to staff. And then
hi, Lucretia.
I believe it is live. Please include the email. And then Mark was asking, is there a good resource on psychological examination of racism causative, as well as ways to address it?
You're putting me on my librarian skills on the spot, Mark. There should be several from different viewpoints. I don't know off the top of my head a specific one that will answer that question spot on. I will tell you though, if you come into any library and our nonfiction section is arranged in the Dewey Decimal System, which is a bit murky to wade through sometimes, but there's a general number, one of several, that talk about race, racism, race relations, and that's, I believe, the 305s, 305 or 323, one of those. So if you come into a library and go in the nonfiction room and look for the books that start with 305 or 323, that might be some of them. I would be more than happy to look up specific titles for you if you'd like, though. I wish I had a better answer for you.
He says he got it. All right. So what's
Great.
the next resource there?
Oh, yes. This is the last one I want to share. I will just jump over to our website one more time real quick. Okay. So if you are doing some learning and you want a place to talk to other people about it, and maybe you don't have that place in your home or workplace or with your friends, maybe you want to talk to strangers or just reflect on learnings that you're doing this month or any month, because it is important to think about race and racism and our legacy with it throughout your life. We have our monthly discussion group, the Anti-Racism Learning Circle, that is happening next week. It happens on the second Thursday of each month, and I help facilitate that. So you can see this is our webpage for it. If you go to our calendar and look on February 10th, you'll see it. You can go to site and search anti-racism, or just go to krl.org/events/anti-racism learning circle. We have the date and topic. I'm going to post those recommended resources today or tomorrow. I'm sorry for the delay. But our topic for this month is Black History and Black Futures. So I, really do appreciate an opportunity to talk about history and what we can learn from it, but don't want to get too bogged down in the lessons that we kind of all learn in school, and want to focus more on the history making that is happening nowadays, especially by Black communities and Black youth, because since we're such a digital world nowadays, so many innovations and like creative like bombshells are happening on social media by Black youth, and that sort of informs our collective cultural sense of humor and what media we give our money to and what artists are super famous nowadays. So this will just be an opportunity to talk about sort of how discussions of history play into our future, our present. I would really love to see youth, whether you are Black or non-Black, does not matter, would love to have this be a conversation that is not limited just to Black history that we've learned in school, but sort of where we see those lessons playing out into our futures. I will have an article and a video and a podcast posted today or tomorrow. I'm sorry for the delay, but this is just an opportunity to talk with people about it. So I wanted to highlight that as well. If anyone is interested, come say hi. So that's what I got, Marwan.
And you always have a lot of good stuff when you come on. And it's always new stuff and it's cool things. I love hearing about the red and black bags and the discovery pass. And I mean, what a way of making something that's not available to everyone and be able to provide them that experience. So yeah, I just think that's fantastic. Let's see.
Lucretia, yes, love it.
See, teamwork makes the dream work, right? That's how it goes. So there's been a lot of wonderful resources, the kitsapmuseum.org, Black History in 2 minutes, and features, the APMR or the APM reports.org. They're all in the chat here, so I'll just kind of pop them up really quick.
Thank you.
Again, do check out the website, krl.org/inspire. All that good info is right there for you. And, the website is very easy to navigate and look at. Priya, I had a question for you. Librarians are researchers by nature. You solve mysteries and find things out. Could someone who was looking for, an old edition of a magazine or something, could we come to the library and get assistance with that?
Yeah. I can't guarantee that we would have it in print. We do try to keep our print collection pretty current. However, we do subscribe to several databases that are for like newspapers or newsprint, local news. And then I believe we also have subscriptions to like e-magazines that you could read similar to ebooks, and those go back way back. So whether it's part of our circulating collection that you can check out, or it's something that we can try to hunt down for you online, it can't hurt to ask. So yeah, please do let us know.
Well, I am going to ask. First, we have Priya is awesome, and there will be a test next week.
Thanks, Lucretia.
I have two search items for you. So the first one is my family was featured in an essence article back in 1982. It was about single fathers that adopt. I always wanted to get. I have the magazine, but it is really old and tattered, so I keep it in plastic. But I'd love to see if I can either get it digitally or find a way to request a copy. So I just don't know how to do that in a way that I can preserve it. So that would be really awesome. So I'll send you an email on what month it was and all that good stuff.
Yeah, please do.
I'll probably show that off. And then I got this sword here. It's super heavy. Do you think you can find out the origin and history of this sword?
Oh boy.
To you? I mean, this thing must be like 8 pounds. So it's this huge sword. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And I can barely hold it with one hand here. So, by the power of Grayskull. But a family thing that I now have. And I just wanted to get some information. It's really ornate. It's super heavy. But I don't know anything about the symbols and where they come from. So...
I'll tell you, it's not the weirdest question I've ever gotten. So if you want to snap a few photos and send them over, especially like the hilt and any like distinguishing features, I'm sure we can find something.
You look so intrigued right now, know. No, that's awesome. No, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all the really good information that the library has. Again, Priya was saying there are 9 locations throughout Kitsap County. So there's always one near you, and then they have so many virtual services. Please do reach out. Oh no, you went back to He-Man. I can go. I can do others too. Sword of Omens. Give me sight beyond sight. So I'll be here all day. But no, I definitely appreciate you, Priya. I appreciate the Regional Library, Lucretia in the chat, who is also at the Kitsap Regional Library downtown. So shout out to all of you. Please check in. And as always, the Kitsap Regional Library will be on the Conduit at 3 p.m. every first Tuesday. So please set your calendars. Go ahead, subscribe, like, and share, and reach out to them because they're super helpful and they're super friendly.
Thanks, y'all.
All right. Well, everyone have a, Lucretia says, oh no. Have a good day, everyone. We will see you next time.